Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast, another week of waiting. We are here, Luke Stuckmeyer, Kevin Wells, and Cody Delmendo. Ryan Herrera has the week off. I believe he's trying to recruit Yamamoto, but we cannot confirm or deny that at this moment.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, Luke.
Maybe it's Bellinger he's recruiting. Again, can't confirm or deny.
He's been in that locker room long enough.
Don't let the folks at the BBWAA or whatever know, because I think that might get him in trouble. But
just call it the Geek Squad, and that's what it is.
I didn't call it that. You did.
I did.
I know a lot of them aren't a fan of me, so I didn't want to say that. So big of you to say, Luke.
All right, you're Ryan Herrera. What's your best business pitch to Yamamoto? What's Ryan's best pitch? First thing he brings to the
table. We have great brownies in the press box. I don't know.
Knowing Ryan, he'd just start talking about Mizzou to him, which that will not bring Yamamoto to the Cubs. So
you should see
they got this great third baseman, Nick Madrigal. Wonderful player.
I mean, that is one of the themes of today's podcast. Again, no signings so far, but you hear Yamamoto met with the Mets and Yankees over the weekend, had dinner at Steve Cohen's, I'm just going to guess, Palace.
Palace.
Certainly, you can't call it a house. No way. Yeah. It's got to be a palace. So my question is, they missed out on trading for Soto. They missed out on Ohtani. Now, Tyler Glasnow was traded to the Dodgers, and it doesn't sound like they're in on Yamamoto. And so the question is, are the Cubs cheap, or are they being smart about this offseason? And I know that the answer could be both. That's always a possibility. But if you have to choose between one or the other, how does it feel so far this offseason? Now, I see a lot of the cheap in the chat, right? The Godfather, Michael Collada, says, I've been saying this till I'm blue in the face. Ricketts won't get in a bidding war for any player. If you still buy tickets after this, that's your problem.
Well, they got in a bidding war for Jason Hayward back in the day, but,
I don't think you can deny that a lot of the deals have been crazy, but it feels like that's every year now, right? Like even Bryce Harper at the time seemed like when he signed it, because every year it keeps going up. So is it just the price of business and the Cubs are getting left in the dust living in some old world where, Ryan Sandberg signs for $6 million? Mm-hmm. Or are they?
I'll let you go first because I kind of want to hear what you have to say, Kevin, and then I'll go into my spiel.
I'll preface by saying, and I've said this on the show before, I trust Jed Hoyer to make the right decisions with this ball club. I know that's maybe not a popular opinion.
So you're saying that they're smart.
So you're saying they're being smart this offseason?
I think they're being smart. There is a lot of things that Jed says in his press conferences that tend to be true. People who win the offseason all the time don't always win the World Series. Baseball is full of variance. We know that. We've talked till we're blue in the face after some of these postgame shows like, they only needed one more game to make the postseason. But at some point, you need to acquire star talent. The money, it sounded like from all of the reporting that we have from the great reporters that cover this team, it sounded like the $500 million was there. Do we know that for sure? Maybe not. It sounded like it was always going to be the Dodgers. So I don't want to say that they're cheap. I think that the Ricketts and Jed Hoyer have this partnership where they are committed to spending things that they know will give them a return on investment. Shohei Ohtani was a guaranteed return on investment for any team that was going to sign him. Yamamoto may look like one of the best pitchers we've ever seen. We haven't seen him pitch yet, but from all these reports, he can throw 1 million pitches, and he's got velocity, and he's won back-to-back MVPs over there. He might be worth his $300 million, but that's a big risk for a guy who hasn't had the postseason success of a Verlander, of a Max Scherzer, those guys that tend to get those high AAV starting pitcher contracts.
In this free agent class particularly, you could say Jordan Montgomery or, he's the first name I thought of. But
Blake Snell? What's Snell going to get?
He's got playoff experience.
And I agree with Gary. You can't ROI on everyone. I totally agree with that. They have a lot of holes to fill and a lot of questions to answer, and I'm definitely not taking my foot off the gas when it comes to acquiring star talent because the Cubs have a lot of good players right now.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking.
They
I
have
know where you're going.
They have like 5 guys in that 3.5 to 5 WAR who you can quantify and qualify as good players. Those star players, those 6, 7, 8 WAR players is what you need to start acquiring now. Whether that's Yamamoto, I mean, it'd be great, but it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. So now it's about you're banking on your prospects coming up, guys like Cade Horton of being an ace of a staff, and maybe making a trade for a guy like Logan Gilbert, who I now have my eyes set on because he is really good. He's going to cost a lot, but he's a young pitcher, 27, who's thrown 32 starts in back-to-back seasons and has just shown that he's really good. Yeah. Yes. So
to, I guess, this is my answer to Luke. Are they playing smart? Are they playing cheap? As I said last week, I will not irrationally flip out about this offseason until we get to Cubs convention and this roster still looks like this. All right? Because last offseason, I got played, on this show freaking out about how all the shortstops came off the board until it was just Swanson or Correa, and we ended up getting Swanson, and it's worked out so far. Mm-hmm. I understand fans, like fans in the chat, whoever, just and I want to feel like this. Like I want the Cubs to just spend stupid money because it's not my money. It legit, it's not my money. It's not your money. Like I want them to just, act stupid Steve Cohen money. Who doesn't care? But you know what? The Mets spent the most money of any team in the offseason last year, and they missed the playoffs. All right. Mm-hmm. So on one hand, the Mets and the Padres, they make you want to think more intelligently on what you're spending. But then the Rangers are a team that make you think, well, you could just spend money on whoever and you can win a World Series. The Cubs were a top 6, 7 team in payroll when they won the World Series in 2016. This is where I'm at. And at this point, based off the guys who are off the board now, Cody Bellinger is the best position player on the market right now, free agent wise, right? And then Yamamoto is the best pitcher, which looks like the Cubs aren't going to be in. And I tweeted it. I think I haven't said on the show, but I tweeted it like a few days ago. I think I saw a Jim Bowden tweet saying that, offers are around $300 million. Listen.
Or up.
Or more.
I swear I saw one that suggested 400. It was probably a bogus account, but almost all of them are now saying it could be over 300. That's
crazy. and I get it. Like, he's 25. He has all these accolades in Japan. He's probably the most notable pitcher to come over from Japan, like just pitcher. Ohtani's in a world of his own. But the only pitcher to come over from Japan with this kind of hype since like Darvish, right? And Darvish has had a great major league career. He's had injuries, he's had up and down seasons, but overall he's lived up to the hype of what he was when he came over, right? But he was older than Yamamoto, I believe, whenever he came over. So, but what I'm getting at here when it comes to Yamamoto is the guy has no major league experience here, man. And it's not even the money. If the higher that number goes for Yamamoto, that's because the years are skyrocketing on that contract, right? Like, we're talking 9-10 years for a guy that has no major league experience here. And I would think differently if it was a position player, probably. But we're talking about a guy who's going to pitch in 30 games, 32 games tops. You know what I mean? Like, and we know how injuries happen with pitchers. He hasn't proved, at least here, to be healthy, to be able to pitch that many innings here. Like, it's not that I don't want the guy, and it's not that I don't want the Cubs to spend whatever it is to get a guy like that, because clearly he has this, he has the hype, he has this, he's considered a generational talent, whatever. All I know is that Ohtani came over here at like age 22 and no one gave him that kind of deal. And he was someone who wanted to do both.
Starting pitching is a premium in this league. Yeah. Getting a frontline ace is going to cost you a lot of money. And from the way the Cubs have approached this offseason, again, we're only a month and a half in. We still got several weeks to go here before we maybe see some big movements. But they really, all of this to me pins on the hopes of their 3 main prospects. I really think that they believe Cade Horton has the stuff to be the ace of the staff very soon. Yeah. Not this year, maybe not next year, but the year after. And maybe they don't want to pay a premium for a guy like Yamamoto. But to me, I don't know if they want to use that as an excuse. That might not be their line of thinking, because to me, you need the more pitching you get, the better.
To me, signing Yamamoto would be like the final piece of the puzzle or like the second to last piece of the puzzle for a World Series contending team. And I know going the offseason is like, I wanted NLCS or bust expectations, blah, blah, blah. That was when Soto was still out there. Ohtani was a dream, whatever. And if they would have did whatever to get those guys, traded however many guys to get Soto, then we would have that. And maybe perhaps I can still get there if they bring Bellinger back and add more to the offense. I don't know. Like, they have to get creative in the trade market at this point. I guess what I'm saying is I'm going to continue to think that they're being smart, because I could say they're being cheap, and then tomorrow some crazy shit happens and whatever. The thing is there's still a ton of guys out there on the board. Like, I'm not flipping script yet until we get to CubsCon and this roster still looks like this. And I agree that they are looking at the prospects, guys like PCA, guys like Ben Brown. Cade Horton will be here at some point next year. I think he'll be on an innings limit, though, so you can't rely on him to pitch 150 innings, right? Mm-hmm. They have other position players as well that they're high on. They have position players who made their debut last year that they're high on, right? To me, they're playing it smart right now, and I think they're also signaling that they don't think going into next year is a year to go all in. I think that they want to see some of these young guys perform while also adding some good vets to go with them. Maybe Bellinger is the big offseason signing, and it will be annoying because you're going to feel like they're not going to go into next year as a better team, but that's just only because we have to go into next year with hope of some of these young guys busting out, you know what I mean? And I don't necessarily want to go in with that kind of hope, but we sit here and we talk about how good this farm system is. The league keeps saying it. So we got to see some of these guys play at some point. So again, unless we get to CubsCon and they still haven't done anything, which
is possible,
like notable at all, I'm not budging on this. Like they're being, cheap. I think right now they're just playing it smart. And I also wanted to note, like, Patrick Mooney had a really good article from The Athletic this weekend about, the Cubs aren't going in with this all or nothing mindset like they did the first time around. So
that's right.
And I think Niren, in the chat, he said something related to that, and I just wanted to acknowledge that because that's true. Like, I don't think they want to get to a place to where it's more sustainable. It's like sustainable success, which is what we all want, right?
I don't disagree with anything you guys are saying about it. Seems like it's the smart thing. And yes, Yamamoto, Passan's trying to knock it down a little bit today and say the numbers aren't what they are. Yes, all of that. But right now, easily both could be true, right? Like, and when we're talking about are they being cheap, that also includes maybe overvaluing your prospects as trade targets, right? Like,
absolutely,
they have targeted multiple known quantities in baseball over the last few years. Missed. Dansby's the one guy they got. The thing that scares me into thinking that they might be more cheap than they are smart is that they still don't have a $200 million player. And there's so many of those in baseball now starting to pile up that they're going around left and right. And you look at the Cubs, I don't disagree with this for the Cubs philosophy either, because somebody in the chat said maybe it's the philosophy is wrong. If you keep missing, it's not the market, it's you. But team payroll is going into now this was just going into last year, right? The Cubs were 12th at $184 million. Red Sox were 13th. White Sox were 14th. First of all, the Cubs should be nowhere near the White Sox, even if the Sox at that point still thought they were in their window. That's one thing. I do agree with the fact that you don't have to be in the top 5 to A, win the World Series, or B, it does seem sort of silly if you're in this rebuilding window. However, that rebuilding window better be closing and the window for winning better be opening. And for me, that's got to signal a $200 million player sooner or later for the Cubs. If the philosophy is we're not going to, obviously they would have given Ohtani more than $200 million, but it sounds like to get him to come here, the number would have had to have been way, way over everybody else to get him to consider playing in Chicago, in our weather, in the Midwest, all of those things. So I am when I see Glasnow traded, that's a guy that John Morosi basically was like, the most likely out of all these players to come to Chicago is Glasnow. And then he ended up going to the Dodgers and signing a 5-year extension for $136 million. Okay, well, is that what was holding up? Like, were the Cubs not willing to offer the extension, and that's why the Glasnow deal really fell apart? Like they were, I don't know, but there's a lot. I'm just saying there's a lot of swing and miss right now.
Do you guys remember when, and this is a good point because the Blue Jays are going to seem to be the team that's going up against Bellinger, but sticking with the starting pitching thing, you talking about Glasnow's 5 for 135, that's pretty good for a guy who might regress to a second or third starter, depending on how that team shakes out. They're getting Walker Buehler back. Ohtani hopefully pitches next year for them.
In 2025.
There's your third starter. Yeah. So that's pretty good value.
Beyond 2024.
For a guy like that. But you guys remember when Kevin Gausman signed for that 5-year 110? The Cubs were in on him. We heard Theo talk about him for years before he was a free agent. This is the guy everybody wants. This is the guy he wants. And they ended up signing Stroman instead. But that 5-year 110, that seems to be where they're comfortable, the threshold they're comfortable spending a starting pitcher. That short 5 to 6 year deal, guy who's in the mid-20s, upper lower end of the 30s.
We know that's their target range for age.
That seems to be what they want. I don't think they want to spend $250 plus on a starting pitcher. And I don't know if that's the right philosophy. I'm not a baseball pitching guru. I study it enough, but not to the point where I can put a dollar sign on it. But the $200 million contract is coming. The Blue Jays don't have a $200 million contract in their history either. Their top paid player is George Springer, who looked pretty good in his second and first year there, but dealt with some injuries too. He's got 3 more years on that deal, and that's the deal they're kind of like, oh boy, $150 million for this guy. The Cubs, I think, are really afraid to step into a hole and pay for the first 3 years of Cody Bellinger. Let's say he's really good these next 3 years, but they're still not ready to win. That would be an indictment on the whole organization, right, if they're not ready to win in the next 3 years. But I think they're afraid to make a mistake, trade a guy, watch him go on and be cost-controlled and be super effective, and then spend $250 million, 200 to 250, whatever it is, on Cody Bellinger and watch him only be good for maybe half of that contract. And unfortunately, to be aggressive and to be the Dodgers, to be the Braves, they want to be like the Braves. Everybody does. Everybody wants to sign their stars to cost-control deals, but not everybody falls into that trap. And I think at some point you got to start to see some point
you need to act like a major market city, though, where you have 2 teams and you're
Bellinger's getting $200 million.
But is he going to get it from the Cubs? That's what I'm saying.
It sounds like it's they Cubs, Blue Jays, maybe somebody else.
To me, they have to overpay for Cody Bellinger. Yeah. And if they do, then maybe some of this starts to fade away a little bit. Even the whole conversation. Yeah. If they're able to get Bellinger and then trade for Bieber or whoever and use their chips that way, they have multiple ways of going out and doing it. Right now, they're just kind of sitting there and waiting. And I heard Morosi today talking about Rhys Hoskins, saying, why hasn't that happened yet? And now the Mariners might be involved. And I think his exact quote was, the Cubs were in on Glasnow and they missed out. And if they're not careful with Hoskins, they might miss out again. Okay.
Are we going to be upset if they don't sign Rhys Hoskins?
No, I'm not mad about the player. What I am worried about is that they are being potentially too cautious. So the third option, the third option could have been in there. Are they cheap? Are they playing it smart? Or are they just being too cautious? Yeah. Right? And again, it might be a little bit of all 3, but sooner or later they've got to add to this roster.
Yeah.
With significant pieces.
I'll say this related, to what you were saying about Gausman and all that, like mentioning the Braves. Like the Braves develop all their players. Mm-hmm. They traded for Olsen, okay, but they developed Strider, they developed Acuna, developed Albies, all guys that they developed and all stars, right? Again, I'm not saying we should sit here and be relying on prospects, blah blah blah. Obviously, they need to spend. The Braves have spent, like I guess where I'm at is that I'm starting to see a little bit of the direction that they want to go into next year. And I think Brendan kind of said it. He explained it a lot better than how I'm going to try and explain it here on Friday's show, and how they have their top prospects in the organization are supposed to debut in 2024. And to me, it's not that they're being too cautious. To me, it's more of that they want to see what they have. And if, PCA, on 670 The Score on Saturday, Jared Banner was on their show, and he said that PCA's been in Arizona working with Dustin Kelly all offseason, working on the swing.
Should be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, we're all high on PCA, right? He's the future center fielder. He's an 80 grade defender. I want Bellinger back, and it's mainly to play first base and across the outfield on days that you don't want to play, or you want to sit Hap to get him off his feet to maybe DH him instead, or same thing with Seiya. Maybe you don't start the year with PCA on the team because
I was going to say young player in charge.
Unbelievable versatility.
Right.
Bellinger can start the season in center.
And it leans to make me believe even more that Canario is probably on the trade block, right? But I don't know how much I can get for Canario, considering he was hurt all of last year until the very end, and then he hit a grand slam, and other than that, he didn't do anything else. But it's just bringing me to the point of, I think they want to see these top prospects in their organization do something with this team. Now, does that mean they should be doing that with all of them? No. And so when it comes to Luke's point, are they being too cautious? Perhaps in that standpoint, because there's only so many of them that can play, right? Like, they have too many outfielders. They need to move one or two of them. I don't know how they feel about Owen Casey. I don't know how they feel about Kevin Alcantara. Is Matt Shaw going to be the future at third base? I don't know. We've never really seen him play third base. At least I haven't. They're paid millions of dollars to figure that out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so they just can't possibly go into 2024 with all those guys still in the organization. There's too much. There'd just be so backload prospects. And one of the things you're supposed to have, with all the prospect depth, is the ability to be able to move a guy or two. And if they go on to be good, well, if you're still developing the way that you have been, if you're still drafting well the way that they have been, then you're probably going to be okay. You know how many times the Dodgers or someone has moved someone and they don't even care? And I know it's not only just because they spend money, they develop guys year in and year out. And so to me, it's okay, you have to be able to identify which guy you feel like you're going to be okay without, in the future. And so,
and that's a hard decision to make. I mean, you guys talked to Carter and had a really good interview with him in Nashville, and I just remember listening to that and him saying, well, listen, takes two to tango. We've heard that a lot on several interviews. It does feel like there's going to be some bullpen free agent signing. I think Brent Suter's still out there. He was great with Milwaukee. I think there's some free agent signings that are going to happen, but this team is going to be active. I think the biggest move that we'll see, barring a Bellinger signing, I still think that's pretty possible. Kind of looking likely now with the Giants signing Jung-Ho Lee. But I think the biggest acquisition, or the one that's going to come out of left field, is probably going to be a trade, right? I mean, I'm looking right now at Logan Gilbert. He's got 1, 2, 3 more years of arbitration. He's 27. He's thrown 2 really good years for the Mariners. Mariners are looking to build. They don't have as much money, don't have as many financial resources as the Cubs. They're looking for more cost-controlled players. He's going to cost a lot, but that's what you do when you have 4 of your top 10 prospects that are outfielders: Owen Casey, Alcantara, PCA, and you got 2 guys under contract, happen, say, in the corners for the next couple of years. This is the time to make those moves.
Yeah, it's if, for instance, Naylor and Bieber, if that deal's coming, then you could see why they're waiting on Hoskins, right? Obviously, there's steps in the process, but sooner or later you want to make it happen. Our guy Mike Dubb said earlier he wants to have Bellinger and the prospects. And lines in the water, whatever bait you're using, Jed, it isn't working. Yeah. Well, I just know that people are starting to get anxious. And when I heard
people been anxious, bro.
But when I heard Morosi respond to, they missed out on Glass, now they might miss out on Hoskins if they wait too long, it's obvious that not just nationally, locally, if you watch in our chat or you check out Cubs Twitter, which, people are losing their minds there, if they haven't already lost them.
They have.
it is very easy to look at this and say, when are the Cubs going to do something? I know other teams are still sitting there too, but you just, for as much capital as they have to be moving pieces, whether it's the trade chips or the cash that they have in their hand, for them to be quiet this long is really surprising. Their name is in very little activity right now.
I'm not super worried about the Hoskins thing. Like, not just for the play. I think Hoskins is a really good baseball player. Don't get me wrong.
He might be a nice fit, but he is a Band-Aid.
Remember,
let's not get that wrong. He's
remember,
a Band-Aid.
this is Boris. I mean, this is a, hey, wow, I want to make money for my client. And remember, think of this from both sides. Think of this as the agent saying, wow, there's not been a ton of talk about my guy out there. There's some Bellinger still out there. He's also my guy, but I want Hoskins to get. I'm going to throw the Mariners out there as a team that's looking to add bats, contact bats, and more position-controlled players. Yeah. I would say that seems like a leverage push. There's been a lot of that from Boris. He does it every year. That might not be the whole story, but you're right. He's clearly trying to get the Cubs to move a little bit. And I saw Cerami had a great tweet last week about how the Cubs are going to have to deal with Boris at some point because all the big-time free agents next year are Boris clients again. So if it's not Hoskins, it's likely you're going to have to get one of those guys next year. I'm not beating down the door to get Hoskins on the team by tomorrow. That's a guy you can wait out a little bit. He's 30 years old. He's an above-average league hitter. He's got playoff experience, but he plays a non-premium position. First base, you can find guys that can fill that offensive hole.
He's also not Hosmer. Let's not compare him to last year's ads at first base. No. I just don't. You know what I mean? I don't want.
He's got a lot to play for.
He's so much better than Eric Hosmer.
I don't want people to confuse that either. Like he's an upgrade over that. All right,
Sarah, can you scroll up the case? His comment. Yeah, and I agree with it. He says MLB reporters work for player agents. They're trying to put the screws to the Cubs. So
that's a great point.
And so when Morosi tweets out that the Mariners are getting in on Hoskins, it does kind of signal that like he's kind of putting it out there to the Cubs to say like, hey, like this could happen, it's coming from Boris. So. Boris was also on 670 the score this weekend, and he was obviously hyping up everything about Cody Bellinger and Hoskins and all those guys, and to no surprise. And so he is going to get the best deal for all the dudes. I figured that the Hoskins deal would have already happened because it's literally he's going to get maybe 2 years. Like maybe 2 years. And I know he's coming off the ACL injury, but he literally was going to play for the Phillies in the World Series if they got there.
It'll be a Bellinger like deal. Right. It'll be a year and a team option.
I am surprised that it hasn't happened.
I just don't want the Cubs to stop thinking about, and I don't know if this is happening, but I see it in the chat. People are like, this guy will block Shaw, or this guy, last year, this guy will block Mervis, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just remember that players, all you want to do is keep adding good players. And unless you give somebody a 15-year deal that's absurd and you can't move it somehow, players are movable if you don't give them those no trade clauses, and they all become chips.
And that's what kind of like, and your point there is kind of what makes me think on the other side of the spectrum when it comes to Yamamoto. It's not like the Cubs have a bona fide ace at the top of the rotation.
Yeah, not yet.
Like Steele is great. He outperformed every one of our expectations last year. And
you hope he does again.
And we hope he does again. But like
you have to plan for regression.
Yes. Yeah, you have to plan for regression, and you also you just don't have like Cade Horton. Yes, I think he will be that dude one day, but we know he's gonna be on an innings limit in 2024, man. Like he's not pitching more than 100 innings, maybe a little. I don't see him, and he's not going to start the year on the team. Like that. That's the thing. Like, Jared Banner also mentioned Ben Brown, and he would have made his debut last year if he didn't get hurt at the end. Well, can you bank on Ben Brown staying healthy going into 2024? Like that's the problem with banking on some of these prospects, or like hoping hoping to see some of those guys and see what they can do for the team. Like the point of free agency or trades is to bolster the team a little bit to maybe outperform your projected win total with what's already in your organization, right? And that, like, from everyone who's frustrated with the organization right now, that's where I understand where you're saying. I just feel like it's still too early to completely flip and think that they're not going to do one goddamn thing anyone who doesn't think they're going to do anything right now, again, I understand. Like, they haven't done anything, and it's December 17th or whatever, 18th. And
see, another day's passed.
But, like, but the thing is like, no one else is doing anything. And related to Glass now, the dude has never pitched more than 120 innings, and they gave him a 5-year extension. Like, it has nothing to do with the money. It's the 5-year extension for a guy who's never pitched more than 120 innings. Miss me. I don't care. Like, I wanted Glass now if they didn't get Ohtani. Or if they got Ohtani, I mean. That's why I wanted Glass now, because he would have been able to pitch the 1 year that Ohtani wasn't going to pitch. We didn't get Ohtani, so I'm okay that you miss out on Glass now. At least if they get Bieber, he's shown to be healthy most of his career. At least he's pitched 30-some starts multiple times. At least he's won a Cy Young in his career. I know the strikeout numbers or whatever have dipped the last two, but you're talking to me about a guy who has is going into a walk year to potentially make a lot of money, and the Cubs have the pitch lab that we all talk about and how it's like, changes guys, helps guys get better. I don't know. I'm willing to see how that works out. I'm hoping that is a guy that is still possible. I really am.
All Jed Hoyer and Carter Hawkins need is a shopping process this offseason like you get in Empire. A curated process where they throw out all the junk and only give you the best options to look at. It's a beautiful thing. You don't have to even look at the busts in the market. You don't look at the carpets that are going to not wear well. You don't look at the carpets that as soon as your dog walks in, the new carpet is destroyed. They give you only the best stuff on the market for the best value. And their philosophy is help you find what you need. Don't overwhelm you with 1,000 choices and substitutes. Give you the right stuff. And then they had the virtual floor designer where you can go, snap a picture, and see how that flooring will look in your space. So that's a huge bonus. And they service their own warranties. If an issue does arise, all you have to do is call Empire because they service the warranties themselves. You don't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number. So schedule a free home in estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 discount when they use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details. I feel like if we tell the Ricketts family and we tell Jed about the $350 discount, they might have more spending money other places.
I mean, they're repairing the roof. I guess they might as well repair the
there you go.
floors,
See,
too.
yeah, that's right.
Roof needed it.
Yeah.
That'll give you a nice ROI. Maybe. I don't know.
Kevin, have you been to Midtown Athletic Club?
I drove by it yesterday. I've not been inside yet, though.
Speaking
you got to take me. You got some guest passes.
Speaking of
please.
palaces, huh?
Yeah, speaking of palaces.
Even Steve Cohen's house isn't as nice as this place.
Steve Cohen's home is definitely not as nice as Midtown Athletic Club. They have 4 locations, 4 Chicagoland locations, all right? My guy, Mike Togman, he goes to the one out in Palatine. Bannockburn, Willowbrook. I can't talk. And then obviously the one here in the city, in like Lincoln Park, Bucktown area.
Damon and Fullerton.
The one in Palatine, they just launched a multi-million-dollar transformation to the club, which will be complete by early next year. Listeners can lock in favorable rates if they join before the end of the year. They have something for everyone there, whether you're single like me, families like Luke with kids, people just looking to make a lifestyle change, because it's more than just a gym, guys. Like they have everything. There's a bar there, brother.
You could live there.
You can eat dinner there. I had dinner there with Ryan when we got to go, and like it wasn't just like some fast food stuff, which would be so
it's a restaurant
weird. But considering it's a gym, but like it is like a restaurant. So yeah, it's great. Some of the cool features include the Super Luxe locker rooms with wet and dry saunas and premium amenities, amazing outdoor and indoor pools and hot tubs, which I know my guy Mark Carmen is a big fan of, on top of the tennis courts that he just cannot stay away from. They have a collection of boutique fitness studios with more than 100 classes per week that's included in the membership. So if you get a membership, you can go and do all the classes for free, or it's part of the membership. So you don't have to pay extra for the classes. So it's not gym quality. This isn't gym quality. The spaces are boutique quality. That's what they say. So yeah, I mean, again, has everything. The best tennis courts and programming in the sport. Midtown has indoor and outdoor tennis courts, pickleball as well. I know all us millennials are all into pickleball right now. And then obviously paddle tennis, USTA professional quality all the way. So head on over to midtown.com/CHGO to find out more and to tour the Midtown Athletic Club nearest you.
By the way, because we are content creators, and I'm always looking for a little something that I will not be doing, but I think I could probably talk some people here into it, and Mark Carman and Braggs would be high on the list. Have you seen the floating hot tub down the Chicago River yet?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, you know how they have paddle boats?
Yes.
Now you can, if you want to have something dirtier than a hot tub, you can float the dirty hot tub down the Chicago River, so you have twice as good a chance.
I actually
of
wanted to
something.
do that.
Oh.
It's
I did
fun.
not hear about this.
Oh, yeah. So you can go in the cold, rip your shirt off, have some beers, maybe some free.
It sounds exactly like something Carmen Braggs would do.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
I can envision Mark Carman with his shirt off across from Braggs, drinking their 312 Goose Islands, and Carm singing some bad version of some song as the two of them float past the merchandise mart.
While Braggs is on the other side talking himself into the Bears being in the hunt.
Yeah, brick by brick.
Yeah, I'll catch Casey's TikTok recap for that one. I don't need to be a part of that. Real quick, a little bit of breaking news before we hit the not breaking, but nice news for the Cubs here. They, you know how they do the pre-arbitration bonus pool right before. Our guy Justin Steele, part of that pre-arbitration bonus pool of earning one of 5 players to earn over $1 million bonus this year in his pre-arbitration. $1.6 million for Justin Steele, joining Julio Rodriguez, Corbin Carroll, Adley Rutschman, and Spencer Strider. That's a heck of a group of young players to be a part of. Obviously, Steele, is expected to. He's got a couple of years here yet of arbitration, but a nice little bonus for him after a heck of a year. So congrats to Justin.
And I know we were kind of talking about Steele earlier, like you can't bank on him to be as good as he was last year again. That said, there's no reason to believe he won't be as good, or at least very solid at the top of your rotation for 2024. So, yeah, good for him, man.
Yeah,
considering where he came up from, 2014 draft pick,
5th round,
injuries, all that stuff. Like
the best story of last year,
for sure.
I mean, Bellinger was the position player. Obviously, Steele was the pitcher. Today is, of course, if you've forgotten. People are counting down the days till maybe New Year's or Christmas and the holiday season. Maybe you got lost in all the chaos that today is Magic Wand Monday.
Did we read the super chat?
Oh, we got.
Oh my God, no, I forgot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, holler, super chat, Chris. Sorry, Chris.
He's $4.99. Thank you, Chris. You're always here. The Cubs are neither cheap or smart. They dumb for not making a move. That's fair. I can agree with that.
That could be possible too.
Yeah.
It feels like we're waiting even longer than last year. And you know what? We are, because Dansby signed 1 year ago yesterday. So we are waiting even longer for that next big deal.
That's right. Another day has passed. Like I said, Magic Wand Monday. So this is where we take our magic wand and we fix everything with one magic swoop of that wand.
Last time we did this, we manifested Bo Bichette rumors. So credit
to
us.
Credit to us for changing the market out there. And we at one point said, hey, Vlad Guerrero Jr., make it happen. That hasn't happened yet, but still holding out hope. And if it does, we'll take credit.
All of it.
Today, it's a much more close to home Magic Wand Monday for me. I just want, please, somebody show Christopher Morel how to play third. He seems like such an obvious answer at third base. And we hear about, he's done now playing in the Dominican Winter League. Defensively, it didn't go super well in a short. We saw that one great play, which everybody got pumped about, but then there were also 4 errors at third base. Excuse me. So what's it going to take? Is it going to take Magic Wand Monday to make that happen by the season? Because I don't want to waste. I know the backup plan can always be you can use him as your DH. There's so much athletic ability in that guy. There's so much energy in that guy. He tied for the team lead in home runs, and he played 100 less games than Cody Bellinger. Yeah. 100 less games, 100 less plate appearances than Cody Bellinger.
That would make more sense.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. I want to see him on the Cubs next year, and I want to see him playing third base. Yeah. But that can't happen unless he makes a massive improvement at third base like Madrigal did last offseason. Can that be the magic wand, or do you have one that you think would be easier to actually accomplish with the magic wand? Signing Bellinger? Do you want to make that the listen, I'll take anything at this point.
I just want to talk about yours for a second. Are you mad if Morel is just offensively the way he was last year and a little bit? A healthy Morel gets you 30-plus home runs next year, is in the lineup pretty much every day, like Council said, as a DH. Is that a bad thing for the roster?
But I don't think they want him in the DH.
I think you'd rather have him playing the field, too.
It's a bad
If you
thing
listen
for
to
the
Council
roster,
at the winter meetings, he was basically like, we got to find a position for that guy. It's on us.
But if they don't, I mean, I don't know. Just go have him DH, get a third baseman. I don't know.
I fully believe that if he is playing mainly as a DH next year, it's not good for the organization. They gotta find a place for him to play, man. He's just not a typical DH.
He does, you know and they do together, right?
My magic wand, I would say, I'm not as into it as Brendan, but I do love pitching for those watching. So I love watching pitching. I loved pitching in high school growing
just
up.
Don't make graphs.
No, I don't know how to make them. I don't know how to program them like he does. They're so intricate and interesting. I like learning from him. But my thing is always cost-controlled young starting pitching. Go get me a Dylan Cease. Go get me a Logan Gilbert. That changes so much. When you have a pitcher in the mid to late 20s that has a couple years of arbitration, a guy like Justin Steele is a perfect example. When you have a guy that has 3 years of arbitration and they're those 1 year, one-off deals that you can sign for less than $20 million average annual, that opens up so much cap space for you to go out and address other things. Not that the Cubs always do that, obviously, but give me a cost-controlled young starting pitcher with an arm that is untouched and is shown that it can consistently get you wins. And I think a Dylan Cease is great. That's going to cost you a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Logan Gilbert's going to cost you even more. It's worth it. That's my magic wand. Go get one.
Okay.
I see people saying about the Morel thing, right? 30. That's what I'm saying. Fix his defense and get him to just league average at third base.
In this said, Godfather, you are better than this, man. Like, he is not Patrick Wisdom with speed, brother. Come on, man. Miss me with that. Miss me with that, bro. Like, that is such, oh my.
Oh, did you
of
call
all
Godfather,
of all the
bro?
things that we read
Godfather,
that you
bro.
say, Godfather, and again, this is respectfully, all right? Christopher Morel is more than just a home run hitter with speed. I'm sorry. I have a whole thread that I put out on Twitter due to all the research I did, credit to me. He was literally, his first 2 years in the league, he was better than Javi Baez. Javi Baez's first 2 years in the league. All right?
Offensively?
Yeah,
okay.
offensively. Sure. All right? Yes. Does he need to cut down strikeouts? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? A lot of guys are striking out these days because all the pitchers are, at the peak of what we've seen from pitching. All right? I don't care, though. If you have contact bats in your lineup, which the Cubs do, you can live with a guy who strikes out 30% of the time. Anyway, the reason that I think, to shift back to what we were talking about with Morel in the defense, the reason I think he brings more value if he's in the field is just the fact that because he's an athlete and the fact that if you're able to play him in the field, that allows you to add another impact bat to DH.
Right.
That's the reason that I want him to be able to play in the field. And because they have, right now at least, because Bellinger is not on the roster, the fact that first and third base is open, you got to me, you just got to figure that out. If they're going to trade him for a guy like Logan Gilbert, I hadn't thought about Logan Gilbert really all offseason because I didn't think the Mariners are going to want to trade him. But
they probably won't.
But if it's for someone like that, fine. But you're still not. Your offense still isn't better. Your offense is still worse if you trade Morel and you don't sign Bellinger and you trade for Logan Gilbert. We'll just be banking on our starting pitching to allow 2 runs per game every start. You know what I mean? Where who knows? Maybe some guys break out. I don't know. All I know is that the team is better. The team theoretically could be better with Morel in the lineup playing in the field. Because If he's DHing, then you are playing Nick Madrigal at third base if you don't fix third base. You know what I mean? Or you're playing Wisdom. You're not going to put Wisdom and Morel in the lineup together. You know what I mean? Like, unless they even signing Matt Chapman doesn't make me feel any better about third base outside of the defense. Like, they need to find a way to get Morel in the field and playing that position wherever it is consistently. And
So
most
that's-
likely that's, to me, it's either third or first base. If Bellinger doesn't come
Or
back,
left field.
well, Ian Happ's going to play left field more often. More
Those are
relevant,
like the three spots, right?
for sure.
Well, then, how do you use Hap if he's not playing left field?
Well, then you're DHing him, but like,
Right.
and it's
That's
just like
not-
you need an everyday DH, man, and like, I just feel
that's
like
not taking anything away from Hap. by
No,
the way.
it's not at all.
I'm saying those are the three positions you can play him
Yeah.
at. He's not playing short. He's not playing second. Maybe
I'd rather
second base.
have Hap in left
I
field
doubt it.
than Morel in left
It ju-
defensively for sure.
when you think about the lineup in general with the lineup, if you're able to get Morel out there at third, and then you have Hoskins playing DH, and you sign Bellinger to play, and he can go between first base, center field, and the two outfield positions on a day where and then go. It's a long season. Guys need days off. You can play Bellinger in those two corner outfield spots on days that you want to DH Hap or Suzuki. You know what I mean? Like it. I think there's a lot more versatility, obviously, if you were to bring Bellinger back and be able to move him around like that. He showed he can do it last year.
I like Corey Burkhart's comment. Sign Bellinger to play first. JD Martinez would be a great option at DH. If you can play Morel at third, again, I don't know. Morel's bat needs to be in the lineup. He's an important
absolutely.
bat. I think it
If
opens
he's
up
here.
a lot of, and his value is obviously better if he can play positions, but
Did Godfather yell at me? Is that why you guys are laughing?
he
He said
complied.
he's
He
gonna-
said he'd go sit in the corner.
Sit in the corner.
Thank you, Godfather.
That's all I
Again,
was laughing.
respectfully.
Respectfully.
I love you. I love you.
So I did a poll on the YouTube chat earlier, and it has about 109 votes in. And so I just asked, are the Chicago Cubs cheap or smart? And cheap has 70% and smart has 30%.
That's just the tone of the fan base right now, just because they haven't done anything. I get it.
And I'm going to pretend the 109 votes is actually 10,009 votes. Cody, did you know it's getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles? That's something we can all get behind because, for the health of our planet or the well-being of all of us who obviously share this beautiful planet.
Yeah, Luke, I obviously knew that because the electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence toward an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
Well, that's intriguing. What should business owners do, Cody?
They should go to ComEd.com/clean. Again, ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and the infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. Good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
Did you say ComEd.com/clean?
Yeah, go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Beautiful.
This weekend, it was not the greatest on the books for me. However, I did have Michigan State money line against Baylor, which is probably my best
There you
win.
go.
3.5 point dog on a neutral site against Baylor, number 6 team in the country. Credit to me. That said,
I'm back to betting against the Bears from now on.
yeah, I'm also going back to betting against the Bears because the Bears took all my money from the Circa Sportsbook yesterday, lost every single bet I had on the Bears game. Hell, Cole Kmet, our guy, love him, Cubs fan. I had him over 36.5 yards receiving. Dude had 5 catches and somehow didn't go over that mark. How do you get 5 catches and not go over 36.5 yards receiving? Make it make sense to me. Anyway, despite my losses, I'm still going back to Circa Sportsbook tonight because that's what degenerates do. And one reason is their tight money line splits. Games will strive to be a -110 split on the Circa Sports menu, unlike other sports books, which may use -115 or -120 splits. Circa Sports keeps as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to other books. Another thing that I really like is they don't limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. And because of that, they actually encourage bettors to download and explore all sports betting apps available to compare the lines from each sportsbook. And then finally, their customer service is second to none, is one of the main reasons why I continue to use them. You're talking to real people. You're not talking to chatbots. Chatbots are the worst thing. They should, like, the world should go into 2024 without chatbots. I will stand on that forever. They're real people behind the Circa Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike other books who use chatbots. All aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, the second greatest place on earth, aside from Wrigley Field.
I really have to get out there.
It's a beautiful place.
The next time you guys go out to Vegas, even if I don't get the invite, I might just show up in my own plane ticket. I seriously, I want to
show
go
up in Cody's suitcase.
hang
Why
out.
does Cody have
Suitcase.
2 suitcases?
They got the cabanas, like they got
Stadium
I got
swim.
3 TVs in my living room, but they got like 70. How many? 72 TVs. Or whatever?
So many. So
Or you could float down the river in a hot tub.
You too can be like Kevin if you just get in my suitcase, I guess. But if you're not, you can just download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text GAMB to 833-234 or visit areyourreallywinning.com. The Blackhawks have a watch party tomorrow. I don't know if Circa's a part of it, but I would assume they are.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know the answer to
I'm
that.
excited for that, though. It's at Broken Barrel, and I love Broken Barrel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's I live
It's right by
next
where you
there.
live,
Yeah.
right?
I'm a 5-minute walk away.
Don't show up in my house.
Never mind.
please.
Yeah.
I didn't say that out loud. Not that you're going to be banging down the doors to talk to.
I had my
a
21st
WGN
birthday there.
anchor.
I was thinking about going as well. So
I'll be there. Yeah, tomorrow. Count me in.
By the-
Marquette plays tomorrow night. I'll go.
By the way, big promotion at WGN. We got a
Hey,
superstar
thanks.
in the building. Congratulations. Nice little promotion
this is
over
news
there
to
at
me.
WGN Radio.
Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
Very nice.
I appreciate it. Yeah, doing a little morning action. So if you're driving to work and you want to listen to some news in the morning, tune in to me and Steve Grzanich from about 6 to 9. You'll hear me at the top of the hour every hour. So, yeah, thank you, Luke. I appreciate it, man.
Sure.
Big of us to
$20 in
promote.
my
It's
pocket.
not,
Always get you whatever you want.
It's not as much. I'm looking at Steve Cohen's house. We were talking about this earlier. $21.6 million. Where do you think they
That's
had
his
the
Florida
meeting?
house.
That's his. Look at this place.
Yeah.
Where do you think?
But I assume they had the one in New York because then he went and he talked to the Yankees. The
Oh,
day
it was in
before.
New York. Oh,
I'm assuming he's got a New York home.
Where do you think Yamamoto
Maybe
had
he
the
went
meeting? Was it in the sitting area kitchen, the gourmet Downsview kitchen, the other kitchen? There's like
One of 7
different
kitchens,
in
all
here.
of which Steve Cohen does not know where even the silverware is at right now. He's just
We're $21.6 million. That was,
feed me, and they
that's
stand
the
with
last year of the
palm
Hayward
leaves.
contract.
This guy's gonna go throw $40 million AAV at another starting pitcher, isn't he? I mean, I
Probably.
would too if you look at this place. Crazy. Bowling
Hey,
alley.
great news. Did you see the Cubs Con schedule is out, everybody? Huh?
Is it great news?
No family panel again this year. The best news is that they will vote. They voted on Sammy Sosa. We don't know what the results are, but we'll find out if Sammy Sosa is getting in the Cubs Hall of Fame. However, missing from that list. Oh, by the way, Ryan Dempster is going to have his off the mound. It looks like the Compound Podcast will be live from there with Ian Happ again. We're hoping to be at Cubs Con as well. So far, the way it looks, no family panel. Are you mad?
I'll let Kevin go first.
I would have liked to have seen the Ricketts come forth and talk. Obviously they own the team. It's their right not to talk. I think that they have always left baseball decisions, which would be the majority of the questions, up to the front office to answer them. And honestly, I think Jed and Carter have done a very good job of being available to media outlets and answering those questions. So I'm not sure how much more the Ricketts could ask, because obviously these conventions bring out the entire spectrum of the fan base, right? You're going to have people that are there for the autographs and the ambiance and want to shake hands with Dansby Swanson. You're going to have guys there that want to yell at clouds. I mean, it's going to be the entire spectrum. So necessarily, I see from their perspective of, I really don't know if I would want to sit there and answer all those questions. What's that?
Nobody likes clouds. I don't blame them. They have no responsibility as an owner of something to be like, hey, tell me how bad I am at doing this.
Yeah. When honestly,
get
I
that,
think the
but-
Ricketts have done, maybe I'm in the minority. I think they've done a great job with Wrigleyville and the Cubs.
What's all this buzz or hubbubaloo, is that a word, about autograph vouchers?
Oh, yeah,
I don't understand what that is because I've never done that.
So they've
there.
had vouchers every single year, and you get it like when you arrive and like at check-in, you get this like duffel like backpack type thing. It's like has like a calendar in it and some other freebies, and they always used to put like a voucher in there, which it was like a scratch off, and you would scratch it off, and it would sometimes tell you if you won like an autograph, like a free autograph signing.
Okay.
And if you didn't, you'd get like $5 off at the Cubs store. So it was like either the greatest thing in the world or like the worst thing in the world, honestly.
And now everybody's just going to rush to a
now
line.
it's just like first come, first serve, according to this news, and which is wild. I mean, in my like 7 years that I've gone, I got like a free autograph signing one time.
Cool.
And it
Well,
was
you got
$5
off.
It was so it was in 2018. It was Andre Dawson, and I had already met Andre Dawson in multiple instances in my life at that point. So I actually went around trying to trade it, and someone was dumb enough to give me Chris Bryant for it.
Nice.
So that's how I met Chris Bryant. As a fan, way before this podcast ever existed. But
that's neat.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about CubsCon. I mean, if you really are a fan of it and you get some FaceTime with those guys, it is cool. As long as you're not over the top and like, oh my God, I love you. Like, be like, hey man, you've done I'm really looking forward to watching you play this year. Like, I really love the way you play. It is a cool experience for fans. I'm glad that the Cubs still do it because not every baseball team does it. I mean, it is a cool
Sox
experience.
don't.
I always tell people, like, I've met a lot of Cubs fans on Twitter who don't live here, who've never been, and I always tell them, like, you got to go at least one time.
Yeah.
It's a great experience. You get to meet obviously you meet other Cubs fans, but also, like, I think especially if you have kids, you got to take them there at least one time. But as far as like my disdain for Ricketts not having a panel, he had a panel last year, and it was honestly pointless. I sat through the entire thing, and the only thing that came from it was some lady bitching about the fact that the DraftKings Sportsbook was coming, and it was ruining like the charm that is Wrigleyville, which just made me like laugh at ridiculous amounts because it's so fucking dumb.
Clouds.
Yes. And then the Sammy Sosa thing, which we talked about last week. And that's asked every year. So I guess we won't get that. But again, he's on the ballot, so we'll find out if he gets voted in or not on year one on the ballot. And then a lot of the rest of it is just, like normal shit, like what they're trying to do in the neighborhood and all this. Like it honestly,
Cubs
like
bingo, play Cubs bingo.
It's not like fans are lining up to get to one of those 3 microphones they have set up in that room or whatever, and people are just shredding Tom Ricketts. Like it really is nothing. Now, I will say the fact that they're gonna have the baseball operations update with Jed Hoyer and Carter Hoskins. Fans will have the same exact same exact scenario where they can.
Which is why the billionaire's like, why would I do this?
Right. And we do know that
question.
Tom has not, like, he has no, or he lets the front office decide on who they're spending money on. And like, to me, based off what Tom said last offseason, going into last year, and then just things he said throughout the year, I lean that the lack of spending this offseason is more on Jed than it is Tom. That's where I lean. I don't think it has anything to do with Tom limiting him any money, to me. So
I don't know.
It doesn't seem that way. It seems like they said, listen, you made some bad signings. You're going to spend our money. Spend it on the right guys. And maybe Jed was like, okay. I don't know.
Maybe.
We're never going to know that answer until somebody comes out and spends, like I said, 200 plus.
You want to
million.
go to CubsCon and yell and scream at the clouds? Like, just make sure
right.
you're at the baseball operations update with Jed Hoyer and Carter Hoskins.
Did you play Cubs bingo when you were there last year?
I did it one time.
I know. I saw Mike Dubb said that's the GOAT of the con. I don't know what that.
It's cool.
No, I haven't. And I'm not telling you how to CubsCon has just never been my thing. I've been there for stuff. And I want to say that right now we can officially announce that if CHGO is allowed in, we will not need vouchers for our autographs. If you'd like to come up and have our autograph, no voucher needed.
Yeah, we won't be like Marquee that had like the lines for Boog and JD. Like people had to get in line to get like
right.
them or whatever.
How many Ryan Herrera autographs for Luke Stuckmeyer?
A lot. Probably a lot, yeah. I mean, if you want Cody to sign your lower back or your thigh or whatever, he will do it. He will do it.
I will need someone to video me doing this because that would be
amazing.
That would honestly just be hilarious. And
I got this Santo tattoo right here. Could you sign my other shoulder, Cody?
And it's not like I sit around and practice my signature. Like it's not something I do. So like,
how do you? Now wait a minute. You're old enough though. You should know how to do cursive, right?
Yeah, I do.
Because
but it's
the
not
next generation coming up has like never. They can't even read it, let alone done it.
I mean, even some of those autographs, though, half those guys, you have to be making that shit up on the fly, right? Just
having fun with it,
scribbling away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe make your first initial. I don't know.
If we end up, it's still unconfirmed, but like if we get the setup or whatever, we're hopeful to have players who come and.
I'm hopeful you'll be willing to sign beer bats for people.
That'd be sick. Now that would actually
Cody
be pretty cool.
It. Or potentially, Cody does a beer bat chug after he signs it.
That'd be a great endorsement to work on for the Cubs. The official beer bat guy. I don't know.
Anyways, it's coming.
That'd be cool. I hope you guys get that. I'll be stopping in if you guys are there. I'm with you though. I've never been a big convention guy. You won't see me there, but I will stop by if you guys are there.
I guess
for autographs.
Going last year for the first time as like, this media guy. I think the coolest part was just hanging out with all the other Cubs like content people, like Brett from Bleacher Nation and our guy Danny Rocket, and I met Evan Altman and Full Count Tommy. There's like a bunch of the big people on Cubs Twitter were at Cubs convention, and they all meet up at this bar outside the convention every year, it feels like. So it was cool to like meet some of those people I hadn't met before.
Godfather's giving a special deal at Cubs convention. His autograph only costs $10 to members of the live chat.
Oh,
so gotta get the Godfather on Cameo.
Listen, it's not like getting Bellinger for $10 million a year, but it's a discount. It's a discount.
If Godfather got on Cameo, I would be the first person to like. I will. Just don't make it more than $50, Godfather. I just for the content alone, I would pay you to send me something of whatever. I don't know.
Cameo asked me to do that once, and I was like, I'm not charging anybody for me to send a video. If somebody wants to get a hold of me and wants a video, I'll send it. I'm not charging $5 for a video for me. That's the lowest thing a person could do.
For the longest time, I thought that like getting on Cameo, you had to have a certain amount of a social media following or something.
I don't
but
think
now
so.
It's just like anyone can do it. And
right.
I actually got like I saw our guy Nicholas Moriano from CHGO Bears, like he started one, and I was like, they let him start one. I guess I could like make an account, and then I made an account, and then I just never did anything with it. I don't think I've ever been requested.
Oh, man.
Which is fine. Like I don't promote it or anything like that.
Don't tell me how to Cub. Don't tell me how to Cameo. Moriano wants to get his bag.
Yeah,
Cameo.
Man. Dude's doing. He's doing. These ads for Floyd's barbershop. He's doing everything he can to make a little extra dollar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Mar. Hell yeah, Nick. All right.
Okay.
Love that.
He's like, I co-host the best Bears podcast in the world. Let me promote your haircut, please.
Ryan says I do answering machine messages. Hi, you've reached Bill and Tom. We're not here to answer the phone right now, but this is Luke Stuckmeyer answering for them. Hey, if you want to be, before you go to Cubs convention, make sure, if you're going to go, make sure you show up with the Die Hard card in your hand. Because
you slap that thing down.
You don't need a voucher if you've got that Die Hard card. You just shove Mike Dubs right out of the way and say, I got a Die Hard card. Dubs out of the way. Actually, I think he's got one too. 20% off all of our events. Dope merch for all of our teams. You get 20% off all of that dope merch that we have. You get a free shirt when you become a member, so you can show up to Cubs convention with the coolest shirt on the market. And you get to be a members-only Discord member. That's called the CHGO Lounge. But most of all, you get the premium written content for members at allchgo.com. And again, the CHGO diehard card that comes in that box is like having gold. It's like having gold. And yes, Dubs, you get to show up with free sick drip. So make sure you sign up for a diehard membership as soon as possible. Great holiday gift, by the way. Trying to think of what you're going to get for that sports fan in your family right now. You're like, what could I get? Diehard membership? It's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year round, and they're going to be like, what is this? And then once they realize it, they're going to want you to give that to them every year, which takes something off of your plate. You just say, here's your Die Hard membership renewal. Here's the Die Hard membership renewal. Here's the Die Hard membership renewal.
Is our discount still
I believe that is over.
Well, I hope everyone, because Michael in the chat says he's finally becoming a diehard at the end of the year. It's like, well, you could have became a diehard already and got it for cheaper if you did it. I think it was like a Black Friday sale.
Yeah, it was a Black.
But I thought it was expanded for like another week or two. I felt like
I could be wrong. Check it out.
Yeah.
Check it out. Hey, guys, our partner, Ray Chevrolet, is having their biggest sale of the year right now. Make your way to Ray Chevrolet on Route 12 in Fox Lake to join in on the savings for their model year-end sales event. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. But right now, they're trying to make room for incoming 2024 models, so all their current inventory must go. Plus, you can find the perfect tailgate vehicle at Ray Chevy because they have over 100 new Silverados in stock. And that's not all. Get 0% financing with $0 down and 0 payments until the spring of 2024. Or save over $3,000 on a new Chevy Blazer, $4,000 on an Equinox, or over $10,000. You heard me right, $10K on a Silverado. And to top it all off, they're pricing over 125 vehicles over $20,000. Seriously, guys. Can pricing get more affordable than that? Check out the free agent market in baseball. The answer is no. And I know everybody loves the word free. Cody, you like free?
I love free.
Everybody loves free. This month at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake, a free oil change. And all you need to do is mention the magic letters, CHGO, when scheduling your oil change online or on the phone. You better hurry, though. This exclusive offer ends at the end of the month on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2023. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com to get your model year-end savings. They've been serving the community since 1963. Find new roads.
Can we show Greg's comment? You got to scroll up a little bit. It says, sick drip at the convention, too. You can buy unlaundered Game War pants. Sweat still dripping from It's true. You can literally buy like game worn jerseys and shit like that. Like, if you're a real, that's another thing about the convention. It's like one of those like memorabilia, like the real dirty ones come out and like show just how desperate they are.
Well, and we, to be honest with you, if you're going to the CHGO locker right now, it doesn't say we offer that. But if you want us to get a large or an extra large or a medium or whatever, and you want us to wear the shirt on air and sweat our, pit it out here in Studio B because it's so hot, we're willing to do that and then mail it out.
Big of us.
We'll send a little of our sweat your way.
I am sweating in here. And
it's always warm in here, brother.
It's hot in here. The show's hot.
Content
is hot.
We always do the show
Sarah's
in here.
In a knit hat and a sweater.
And the reason,
I take the train, so it's freezing today.
I feel like all of the off season we've been out here because the Bears show goes more than an hour. And
always. Are they even done yet?
I felt I finally got off set like a half hour ago.
They ended actually when I started talking about the hot tub down the Chicago River, and Carm's like, we got to go.
Miserable franchise.
Now, Dubs in the chat says, tried to get Cody to buy the Alfonso Rivas team issued jersey. And that reminds me, a friend of mine over the weekend told me that she has a Tony Campana uni. And let me tell you, if there's a Tony Campana uni at CubsCon, send it my way. If you see it, you let me know. You DM me, because if anyone needs that, like oxygen, it's me.
We gotta find a Trey Mancini or Eric Hosmer jersey for Corey.
That should be Christmas gifts. Honestly.
You guys want to do that? You want to like go in on one? I'm sure we could get it here by Christmas.
Or just do it up real good and get like an Eric Sogard one.
Ryan Lambert's becoming one of my favorite chatters. Mark Grace beer stained jersey with lipstick on the collar.
Hell yeah, brother!
Wrap up the
Hell
show.
Yeah, brother!
Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast this Monday afternoon. Only 46 likes so far. Please hit the like button on the way out. That is disgraceful. And remember, we're back here live at 1:20.
Do we have any more
again
super chats?
Tomorrow? No more super chats.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
All right. Then until tomorrow, live at 1:20 or breaking news podcast. You never know. Till then, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.